Hello, all of my crafty friends. Welcome back today. It is Thursday, June 17th, and we are running with scissors again, and we're going to have a great time with another fun mix and match project today. I'm so glad to see a whole bunch of you popping into the chat. If you are new here, please do stop down into the comments and give me a little hello and tell us all where you're from. We meet from all around the world during this live stream, and I really do enjoy having a little bit of crafty time with each and every one of you. So I'm so glad to see that we've got some folks joining on Facebook, and I'm watching my comments down here below. And so Sue, you're so funny. She's normally a YouTuber, but she's joining us over on Facebook today to give it a try. And she says, unless she's the only one there. Well, fortunately, I have a little tool in this restream that will allow the comments to go back and forth. So you should be seeing the comments over on Facebook as well, even if you're on YouTube and vice versa. You should be able to see the comments from both, which is pretty cool. So you'll never feel alone. And I'm glad to see we've got some new friends joining. Hi, Carmen. Nice to meet you. Glad to have you here with us today. And Cece, I'm so glad you're able to join us. I hope that means that you're feeling at least a little bit better. Hey, at least well enough to watch a live stream, right? So I was watching the Altenew live stream earlier today, and that was with Tanya. It was her first one, and she did such a great job. So Tanya, if you happen to catch tonight's replay here, congratulations, you did awesome. And I can't wait to see more of your fun mixed media projects over on Altenew. So glad to see some new folks joining today. Hi, Erin. Glad to have you here. I'm excited that you're here too. We have a ton of fun over here, and I'm really going to enjoy sharing this card with you today. So as you may know, we've been doing what we call a mix and match month. So each month I pick a stamp set that we use as our stamp focus, and usually the projects all center around that single stamp set. Well, I took all of the stamp sets from January through May, and I'm doing a mix and match month where we're mixing and matching all of those stamp sets to create new projects. So you can dust those off and give them a try again and create something absolutely totally new and fun. So we've got another mix and match card. This is our third for the month. Of course, we've done two previous, so you can check out those replays and see what kind of projects we've been working on. And we'll do one this week and then one next week, and then we'll move back into our regularly scheduled stamp focus. And I haven't picked a stamp set yet, so we'll see what happens with that one. And it might be a little fly by the seat of my pants action here. I did happen to get some new My Favorite Things stamp sets and also some new Concord and Night stamp sets. So I think we probably will be using one of those, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. So before we get started into today's project, I did want to share some of the projects that you guys shared last week. And there is one here from our dear friend Cece. So I'm so glad you're on, Cece. We get to see your card live and in person. And she was inspired by last week's project, and she pulled out some floral stamp sets that she was able to use for her background. And of course, she pulled out the layered Cupcake stamp set from Altenew and was able to create a pretty close replication of what I did in the class last week. And you are absolutely right, Cece. Doing the circle, the sentiment, making that go exactly around the circle might have been a little bit futzy, but it was totally worth it because yours looks fabulous. You really did get that lined up perfectly around your stitched circle, and that looks awesome. So, and I would just like to say publicly that I really think that the flower that you added on there, it reminds me of like a cream cheese mint, if you're familiar with those, or just some frosting. It looks so yummy. I just want to pop it off of the card and eat it. Maybe with like a little nonpareil in the center. It's so cute. I love it. All right, so let's move on. Oh, Sue moved over to YouTube. Did you feel lonely, Sue? I mean, you kind of had to just pop right on over. All right, so I'm getting a little bit of buffering on YouTube on my replay screen, but I don't know, maybe it's okay. All right, so here's today's project. I have no additional announcements today. I'm just kind of playing it quick and dirty. We're gonna dive right into our project and have a lot of fun creating this. So There's lots of things going on here. It's super bold and super graphic. Sue, I did not see the cards you did. Did you do them on, did you share them on Facebook? If you did, I will grab them and I will share them next week for sure. Send me a link. So look, tons of graphics. We've got lots of circles going around, lots of squares, some squares in the background, some circles in the circles, some repeat stamping, all sorts of crazy things going on with this project. But that doesn't mean that it looks like overdone or too gaudy. I think we've got just the right amount of lots of stuff going on here. So we're going to be using, actually this takes 3 stamp sets. It takes the Concord and Ninth painted petals. We're going to use just the thank you from this. So I'm going to show you how I did the repeat stamping and how I did the masking on that. And then we need this piece here from Just Because from Concord and Ninth. And then actually from the Altenew stamp set, we just need all of these fun dots. All right, so that is what we are going to be using to create this. Oh, and the die. This die comes also from the Just Because, no, not the Just Because. It comes from the painted petals. We've got the stitch circle and the thank you. Here, we're going to use those dies. All right, so we're kind of mashing them all together. All right, so we've got some questions here. Did we take a break from Sketch Starter Challenge? Yes, I did. So I thought I was going to do another one this month, and then I realized that the prizes are kind of like off 1 month. So the May Sketch Challenge, I redeem my June prizes with Altenew, and I'm not going to be continuing on as a design team member, which means that I lose that perk. So I'm working on reworking that, and it's going to be something a little different and maybe going into the membership group. So more to come on that. There will be an inspiration challenge of some sort coming in the future, and I will keep you posted on that. So thanks for asking, Becca. Let's see, Sue. I will have to look and see if you tagged me. I will find them though. And no, Nancy, I'm not having a workshop this month because I am working on something bigger and better, question mark. It has to do with the survey that you took earlier in the month. I got such a huge response from that, and I will be I'll be sharing more with you guys. Folks that have been on my live stream for forever and have been coming to my workshops, you're kind of my insiders, so you'll be hearing that first. If you are on my newsletter, though, you will be hearing about it soon for sure. Cece, I'm not really leaving Altenew per se. I'm just stepping down as a design team member. It's a whole lot of work, and I have a whole lot of other ideas that I'd like to give a try. And you know, I can always come back as a guest designer. I might do another academy class. Lydia would always love to have me come back to do lives with them. So I'm probably not going too far, but I need to step back for now so I can concentrate on this other thing that I have going that I'm really excited about. All right. And of course, I'll be using Altenew products. So, you know, you're going to see all that too. Okay, so let's get to crafting. Okay. So first thing we will do is the background, and I didn't pull out this. So I'm going to do it just with a block, and we need that. Okay. And I just have a piece of a white cardstock. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's going to go across the entire back. And we need this fun little distressed rectangle piece here. We're going to pop that right on there. Yeah, so thanks, Becca. Not only is this move going to make me happy, I hope that it makes you guys happy too. I'm really excited about the ideas. And like I said, I'm going to be sharing a little bit more with you soon. Some of the folks that have been with me for the last year or so, you're going to find out sooner than others. So, you know, it's good stuff. Okay, so I want to do this on a diagonal. I'm going to do a repeat pattern. So I find that the easiest thing to do, especially because this is truly just going to be in the background, is to start in the center and angle it the way I want to angle it. Just going to pop that right on there. And there we go. Now, because this is already a distressed stamp set, If I don't get it inked up really well, or I don't get a good impression, I'm not too worried about it. I think that will just add more to the whole design. Okay, so I am using VersaFine Clair and Nocturne. All right, if you don't have a VersaFine, you can use Altenew's black pigment ink. They're obsidian black. It's the same thing. All right, so I'm just kind of spacing this a little bit here. And then I'm going to go up into the corner, then ink up again, and then get down here. And I'm actually using the camera to check where this is actually landing. So there we go. I got a nice little space in between. All right, so I've got my first column in place, and now I want to land this guy right in the middle here and give it a nice space as well. So something along those lines. And then bring this down. And then I just need a little bit here. Like so. All right, and I'm actually gonna clean up a little bit so I don't get my hand in it, you know. And I'm gonna flip this over, so that'll make it easier. All right, so again, same idea. Actually, I need to turn this around, so I'm keeping the pattern going in the same direction. There we go. So Becca, have you been out on your pontoon lately? I'm sure you have. The weather's been good for it, I think. And then just pop another one just in the corner there. And there we go. There's our background. Yeah, so these stamps, sometimes I think people find them hard to use because maybe there's a little more structure to them than you would like, or you're just not quite sure how to use it. So creating a background like this is a really great idea. So Sue, to your point, I'm glad that I could show you how to use a stamp like that. Yeah. All right, so now I've got this really cool graphic background. It's very cool. Really, you could just stick a sentiment on this and call it done, right? Maybe a couple sequins, whatever. But it looks fabulous. And see, look here, I misstamped. I didn't quite get the edge, but it doesn't matter. It looks really great. All right. This would look really great in like any color VersaFine Clair. I love that this covers so well on a stamp that really you only have to stamp it once. All right, so there's our background. I'm going to set that aside. And I believe that is it for this stamp set. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's do another little part. Let's go over to the Cupcake and pull out, we need all these little dots. Now, I will tell you what, this little dot right here, you see how tiny that is? It is the tiniest little stamp. I think someone lost it during our last class that we used the layered cupcake on. I hope you found it. Maybe that was Penny. I don't remember. Okay, so I'm going to take my same stamp block and I'm just going to kind of arrange these randomly on my stamp block. It doesn't really matter how they go on, because we're going to turn it around and do all sorts of other random stamping. Okay, so this is kind of along the same lines. So Sue, you found out a great way to use your big block stamp like that. Take all of these little guys and put them on here together and turn them into kind of one stamp. All right, and I'm going to take a piece of this pink cardstock. This is the Honeysuckle cardstock from Concord and Ninth. Love it. It's a great shade of pink. And we've been using white ink all month. So I've got Unicorn and Scrapbook.com's white pigment ink. These are both really great white inks, okay? You can't go wrong with either one. I think they're both pretty fast drying and they also have really great coverage. Okay, I'm just looking at comments as we're going along. You guys are chatty today. Oh, Nancy, you're the one that lost it, but you found it. Oh, good. Okay, so I'm just going to ink that up. And look, I've got a square piece right now. We're going to die cut this with the stitched circle. So I've done my first stamp and I just kind of turned it around a little bit and kind of nestle them into each other. All right. Again, if you get a little oops there, don't worry about it. I mean, you can try to restamp it, but it's not worth it. All right, so by turning my stamp as I go, I'm really making this look random. And if we were working on a square piece, like having it come off the edges is a really good idea. But we're going to die cut this afterwards, so I think we're going to have plenty of circles getting cut off and such. Okay. So turn my card, turn my stamp. Just try to get them to fit in together. All right, so now that I'm mostly done here, if I can't fit in anymore, like see, I could fit these two in here, but then it's gonna, well, actually this doesn't really matter because again, I'm gonna die cut this. So this little bit here doesn't matter, but you can always take the stamp off and then just stamp in a couple of little smaller ones or just work off your edges here, however you need to, but this is good enough. All right, so now we've got this fun circle thing going on and we're going to cut this out with the stitch circle die. And actually I am going to just clean those two off. I want to add just a couple here. I'm not quite sure where the die is going to come, so I want to fill in with just a couple more little circles. That's good. All right, so we're going to let this dry for just a minute. And that is all we need from the Altenew set, so I can put this away too. I like to put this one away right away because of these little guys here. I do not want to lose them. Yeah, it is kind of a, looks kind of like a bouquet technique for sure. That and that, and we are done with this one. Okay. So again, I'll wait for those to dry a little bit. They're dry now, but we'll just let them sit. It's not hurting anything. And we're going to do the background piece. Okay. So I've got the hello and thank you and all that stuff. So on the Concord and Ninth one, remember this is one stamp. All right, there's a die that's designed to cut these all out. So we're going to have to do some masking. All right, so what I have here is a, oops, wrong piece. A piece of black cardstock, and I already have this cut to size. So its finished size is 3 inches by 4 1/4. All right, and I'm not actually going to nestle it in the corner here because we're going to move it up and down the my MISTI. All right, and let me just show you what that looks like. So we're going to get this kind of look. Okay, so what I've got, I want to make sure this is all on the screen, is I'm going to kind of line this up. I guess if I do it this way, it'll work. All right, so I'm lining it up and I'm lining the thank you up so that the thank you has just a little bit of space at the top here. And basically if I align the very top of the stamp with the top of the piece of cardstock and the side, that should give me a really good spacing. So let me zoom in and show that to you. All right, so you see how I'm getting it nice and lined up there? That should give me pretty good spacing. So we'll grab that on the MISTI. And see, it's going to come over to here, so I can always put my magnet on the side. All right, so what I'm going to do on here is take a Post-it note and cover up the rest of the sentiment. Now I can line it up right against the edge of this miss word here, because there's just a little bit of a nub, if you will. It extends out just a little further. All right. See if I can get that to focus. There you go. So I'm just putting that Post-it note right over the top of the thank you. And once I have my first one done, there will be a nice line there for me to be able to put this Post-it note back on. All right, so again, now I can just ink this up, take off my mask, and see now I've got a nice line here. I'm going to make my first stamp. All right, now what I need to do is, if you didn't have it measured already, you would see that this is about 3/8 of an inch, this particular stamp. So I need to move my cardstock using the ruler here. I need to move it up 3/8 of an inch. So right now it's not really quite 4 1/4 that I have cut here. It's a little shorter than that. So I'm going to move it up 1, 2, 3, just over the 4 there. And I'm eyeballing it. I mean, that's about as good as you can do. All right. And then now that I'm over here, I will go ahead and cover up my stamp again, pull that off, and then stamp it right down. Ta-da! All right, so now again, I'm going on my ruler. I will go up another 3/8 of an inch from where I was. So 1, 2, 3. So just short of 3 1/2. And do it again. All right, so I've got nice even spacing going the whole time. Of course, down the side it's nice and even because it's always up against the side. I'm not moving my stamp ever. So let's count another 3/8 of an inch. 1, 2, 3. And we've got to always mask. Take the mask off. And stamp. All right, I must not have had that one quite as lined up as it could have been. That's all right. All right, so again, this is like a very hand-stamped look. And they might not all turn out perfect. That's okay. One thing you'll definitely want to do is make sure that you're wiping your hands, because if you're picking up your mask and you're covering your stamp over here with your mask, and if you're putting your hand in it, you're going to get white ink on it, right? So be sure that you've got a towel nearby so you can be wiping your hand off as you go. All right, so we were there. All right. 1, 2, 3, right before the 2. So don't get me wrong, when I first started doing this, I think I probably went through 2. The one you see on my sample card is the 3rd trial through this. So you're going to have to give this just a little bit of practice to get the spacing right. And and just the whole process, right? But you can get it this perfect. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, next I'm going to wipe this off, because what I'm noticing is I'm getting a little bit, you see these little white spots here, like I'm not getting my mask in quite the right place. So try to realign my mask a little bit there. All right, almost done. That doesn't feel right for some reason. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't do something right on that one, but that's all right. Definitely easier if you can get your head right over it and make sure that you're aligned. So sometimes it's hard to do it on video because I'm trying to keep my head out of the way. I know you guys don't mind, but you know. All right, so there we go. That's as far as I'm going to make it because I don't want to have a partial on here. So I can trim this a little bit if I want to have even spacing on the top and the bottom. And that'll work out fine. It doesn't really matter for the design if it is, if it's not exactly the right dimensions. All right, so that's it for that. And I think that's it for all of our stamping. So let me put our white away. That away. And zoom us out here. Just a little bit. Okay. So we are now done with our MISTI 2. So lots of fun little graphic ideas here. Yeah, it's a little patience for sure. If I was using just a regular sentiment where I didn't have to do the masking, it would obviously be like that much easier, right? I wouldn't have to worry about having to mask and stamp and whatnot. Okay, so if for some reason you end up with those little white bits there, you can take a sand eraser and get rid of them if it really bothers you. But to be honest with you, these ones in the middle here don't matter because the thank you is going to go right over it. All right. So if that happens, it's not a big deal. Okay, so we need to do some die cutting. So on this guy here, we're going to go back into the Painted Petals stamp set. And we're going to grab 2 things here. We're going to grab the thank you and the stitched circle. So this guy is nice and dry now. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And we're going to die cut that guy right out. All right. And then while I'm at it with die cutting, I'm going to take the thank you and die cut that out of some black. Now I've already put some double-sided adhesive sheet on the back side of this because that will make it that much easier to put down. I won't have to worry about adding all the little bits of glue and all that kind of stuff on the back. So I'm going to run both of those through my Gemini. And then, believe it or not, we'll be ready to assemble this card. All right, there we go. So beautiful. And see how nice that looks? It's got some circles are cut off. It just looks really nice and organic, even with that one little whoops that didn't happen. No big deal. To be honest with you, you might be able to stick the thank you kind of over that and not even have to worry about it. So let's do that next. Hopefully this cut all the way through. There we go. The Altenew double-sided adhesive is fairly sticky, but I actually kind of prefer it over the scrapbook.com. The scrapbook.com stuff is really sticky. If you really need sticking power, get the scrapbook.com stuff. Because the Altenew stuff is slightly less sticky, it makes it easier to do this kind of thing where you're pulling out the little extra bits and it doesn't then get like all stuck to your hand and then all like misshapen and that kind of thing. So for that reason, I like the Altenew stuff in general, but either works really well. Okay, so I got all my little bits out. And it kept its shape pretty well. So now I can just pop this down and see here what I'm going to do is put that T right over that circle that wasn't so fabulous. And we can put this anywhere we want on the circle right now because we don't have it on the card. So putting this on first is a good idea because now all I have to do is make sure that this piece goes on square. I don't have to worry about trying to align the thank you perfectly. It works out a little better that way. All right. So if you don't have all of these things to make this card, here are some ideas for you. Go into your scraps bin and pull out a really cool graphic background. You can also use patterned paper. So if you have, like, say, the Altenew black and white essentials with all the pattern on it, use that instead because that would work really well. Okay, so my card base is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So we've got a top fold card. And then my first piece on here is going to be the background piece. Now I know sometimes people ask, like, why do if I'm going to use a piece of white cardstock, why don't I just stamp on the card base? Well, there's a couple reasons for that. One, because if I mess up, I haven't wasted a card base. I've just wasted a quarter of a thinner piece of cardstock. And the second reason is because sometimes it shows through, right? So on a thicker piece of cardstock, yes, it's going to be harder for the ink to show through, but sometimes that happens. And if you're working with a card base that you've already folded, then all of a sudden you're dealing with a floppy card because it's open and it wants to keep opening. Or if you're working with it like so before you've scored it and burnished it with your bone folder, then you have to mask off the top if you're going to do a pattern like this, right? So a lot of great reasons to do a separate card layer with a lighter weight cardstock. Oh, that, and I find that heavier weight cardstock has a little bit, generally has more of a grain to it, an open grain to it, whereas this lighter weight 80-pound cardstock is a little bit more of a tighter weave. And if I'm going to stamp on it, it takes the ink better and it leaves you with a better impression. All right, so those are all reasons why even with white, I'm stamping on a separate piece and then adding it to the card base. All right, so I do have just a little bit that I will have to trim off later because it's not exactly the same size, but it's on the side here and on the bottom, and that's not going to get in the way of me finishing up this card. All right, so there we go. This guy is going to go right on the card base. Sue, you're so funny. Sue's glad that I covered up that little not quite perfect circle over here. She says that would have bothered her. All right, and so this guy is going to go off to the left a little bit. See, he's not centered on the card. This is so that you can read the thank you. Okay, I've been needing to sneeze for 5 minutes, so excuse me. Oh my goodness. All right, so I've got a nice little, like, oh, just under a 1/2 inch on this side, just a fat 1/4 inch for sure. All right, and then I've got a nice piece of gold cardstock here, just some gold glitter. Love it. Just a little bit of bling. This means that I don't need to put more bling on the card. I don't need to have, you know, I wonder. No, okay. I don't need to have enamel dots. I don't need to have any sequins, nothing. This bling is enough. All right, so what I'm going to do is just line it up against the U here. And center it basically from top to bottom. All right, and this is about a 3/4 inch piece. So if you had any unevenness on this side or, you know, anything, you're covering it up with the gold. So I think that looks really great. There you go. And then all we need to do is put our thank you on the top. And I'm going to put some foam on that. So I will grab my ginormous roll of Altenew foam. My goodness. And put a couple little strips on here. The Altenew foam is very, very sticky. You cannot like put it down and expect to get it back up. It's not going to happen. Which is a good thing. I mean, in general, once you've got it down, you really don't want it to move, right? And that means that it's not going to come popping off when you hand it to somebody. You just need to make sure that you're intentional about getting it in place and knowing that's exactly where it's going to go. I thought I was going to sneeze again. All right, so we'll add this guy on, and we don't need to do anything else in this card. So there's lots of little techniques that we put together on here to make this card come to life. Now, here's the cool thing. So this guy is like almost in the center. This is going to be just slightly offset. So nothing is really centered on the card. But overall, it looks very balanced. So there you go. Yeah, so Cece says she puts her panel on the card base when she knows she's going to send it. So some people do that. They will create a whole card without putting it on a card base. And then when you're getting ready to send it, then you put it on the card base. And that's really nice because it will actually, you know, save on some storage space. You don't have to have a whole bunch of card bases ready to go and things like that. So that's always a good idea too. All right, so there you go. As you can tell, like this black here is much darker than this black here. That's what happens when you re-ink an ink pad. All right, so this has a much more cohesive look because this black matches the black cardstock much better, whereas this is a little more gray. So that's just how I got a little bit of a different look. And there it is. I mean, geez, guys, did you think it was going to come together that quickly? With all those different techniques and everything, you might think that this card would take forever, but as you can see, it doesn't take too long to do. So, do we have any questions before we wrap for today? You can ask me anything. You can ask me about today's card. You can ask me about my upcoming ideas. You can ask me anything, because we got a few minutes. Let me flip to split hands. I'm just waiting for questions to come in if there's any questions. Yeah, Anne, I am really excited about my coming adventures, coming ideas, etc. So, okay, I'll give you a little 411 on this. So, what I am working on is a community where people can work on their card making and their mixed media techniques and such in a different way. There are so many places that you can find out how to do a technique, right? You can watch a YouTube video, you can watch Facebook Live, whatever. A lot of times it focuses on a project in specific. So some of the barriers that I was reading about when you guys did this survey with me a few weeks ago was that maybe you feel like you can case a card really well, meaning that you could copy this exactly, or maybe deviate from it just a little bit. But when it comes to coming up with your own ideas and mixing and matching techniques and things like that, things start to get a little difficult. So what I wanted to do was create a community where you could practice more and implement that practice. So, you know, like we learned a few techniques here today. Take some time to actually just practice it without the expectation of creating a project. And then you'll have a better idea when you go to create a project. Oh, I could do that technique that I remember that I practiced a few weeks ago, things like that. It will be a community where we will focus on Q&A kind of things. So like having a Q&A night where you can ask me anything and I will share my answers with you. Whether that has to do with organizing your stuff, how to buy more smartly, how to do a specific technique, all those kinds of things. Also, a hot seat idea where you would send me a picture of a project that you did recently that you think is maybe missing the mark and you want some suggestions for improvement. I would share that card live and we would talk about how you could create something a little bit more refined. So this community would be all about taking what you know today and stepping it up and making you an even better card maker or mixed media artist. And that is the hope for what this is going to be. And what I really hope is that it takes off and that I can bring in other artists to do Q&As so you can really get an inside look into other people's minds and how they do the art that they do, and learn from that, right? So it's all about learning and growing and becoming an even better artist. We will talk about photography, we can talk about videoing, we can talk about all those things. And I'm really excited about being able to put a community like that out into the world. So next month's stamp. You guys want to decide that live? Let's decide it live because we've got time. Let me pull out a few things. Okay. Kind of went crazy with the Concord and 9th sale, like really crazy. Let me move a few things out of the way here. And I picked out a couple of my favorite things too. Okay, so here's the cool thing. So Sue wants to know, is this community going to be on Facebook? No, that's a big no. It is going to be a private community. So there will be space for you to, like, say I post a video or an article that I've written or something in the community. It will be stored in such a way that you'll be able to go and read it whenever you want and leave comments on it. Kind of like a blog and a vlog, but it will all be private. It will not be on YouTube. It will not be on Facebook. And then there will also be a community where you can chat back and forth. Like maybe I'll put up a prompt about, you know, a question about something and ask you guys all to talk about it during the week or whatever. We will have a private community that is Facebook-like, but is not Facebook. So it will be completely private. So my hope is that it would be something that you would be very comfortable being yourself, and sharing your concerns, sharing your fails, sharing your successes, you know, that kind of thing, where it can really be a community where instead of just posting your card and people saying, oh, that's great, blah, 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 oh, that's beautiful, where you could actually get real, real feedback, you know, and feel comfortable doing that too, because I know a lot of people aren't. All right, so here are some of the things that I got. So this is My Favorite Things, Warmest Wishes. She's so adorable. I don't know that we would use this one. I've got this guy. This is Happy Hummingbirds. This could be kind of fun. There could be a lot of cool techniques we could do with this one. And there's lots of great sentiments. So sympathy, best wishes, birthday, love and joy. So like a wedding. All right, so this is a contender for sure. We already did Catacorn, so we won't do that one. This is a fall one, so we will hold off on that. And then these are just sentiment stamps. And then I got some background stamps here too. So we might pull these in, but I don't think these would be focused. So out of my favorite things when we could do the hummingbirds. All righty, let me move these. But Conquered a Ninth, I've got a little bit more. Okay, so I got the Be Mine set. So we could do some watercoloring with this. We could do marker coloring, of course, with this. And these are such cute little sayings. These are adorable. Okay. So Hummingbird is getting some traction here. Okay, so these are just graphic. Honestly, like something like this we definitely could do. We would have to pull in like some background stamps and things like this. So this is a really great one. It's called Big on You. And so some of these we'd have to look and see, guys, if they're available with Conquered a Ninth, because they were just on sale. So let me pull that up while we're talking here. Because I would hate to pick something and then have you guys not be able to get it, right? Big on You. All right, so I will do a search on that. Let's see. Yeah, we could also do just like a month of background stamps too, if you want. I'm totally cool with that. Yeah, because see, this bundle is sold out right now, and I'd hate for you guys to be like, oh, I want to do that, but we can't because it's sold out. Let's see. Hey, bestie. So this is kind of what I do when I'm trying to pick out a set. Is I have to research and see what's available and all that stuff. Okay, so the Hey Bestie bundle is available. So this is, it's another, just a lot of sentiment kind of stuff. So we could pair this with some background stamps. All right. Let's see. This is the Mail Drop stamp set, which I'm totally in love with. Although, again, I don't know if it's available. It looks like it is. Oh, the bundle is sold out. The stamp set is available, but the dies are not. So the sad thing about that is like the dies are really what makes this, because it's an interactive card. So let's set that aside. I've got another Turnabout, postmarked Turnabout. And I wanted to pair that with Snail Mail. So let's see. So the option is we can do backgrounds, like maybe an All About Backgrounds month if you want. And at that point, you could use any background. I would make it very flexible. So we would pair backgrounds and talk about different background techniques, talk about how to use up backgrounds, things like that. We could do that if you want. So if that sounds like a good plan, we can go forth with that. All about backgrounds. CC's into backgrounds, Sue's into backgrounds. Any other thoughts on backgrounds? Anne's into backgrounds. Very stork. Okay, Becca's into backgrounds. You like the flexibility. All right, we're sold. Backgrounds. Backgrounds it is. So pull out all of your background stamps. We will pair background stamps with all sorts of other fun things that you already probably have. We will do some embossing with them. We will do some watercoloring with them. We will do coloring with them. And I'll figure out what we'll do the 4th week. And then, of course, like on top of that, we can do like die cutting and things like that. Okay, so background stamps. See, you guys are great. Awesome. Okay, so any other questions, guys? Ooh, shimmer powder. Oh, I'd have to get some shimmer powder, but yeah, I'd be into that. Sounds like a plan. Okay, guys, very, very cool. I'm glad you guys had fun. Erin, I'm glad you had fun. I hope to see you back here next week. We will be doing our last mix and match stamp set project, and we're going to be doing Distress Oxide ink blending. So you do not want to miss this. We're going to pair the Distress Oxide ink blending with the white craft ink. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Erin wants to know, how do you show your card? Okay, so Erin, on Pinterest or on Instagram, if you tag me at Pixel Mavens Retreat, and I'll put it in the comments here. Then I will get like a little notification. On Facebook. You have to share it somewhere, a public group. So like a public, like the Altenew group, or in this case, probably like Stamp Junkies, if you're a part of that. And then you would have to tag me, like I'm a member of Stamp Junkies. If you're a member of Stamp Junkies, you can tag me just with my name, Nicole Watt, and I'll get notified that somebody tagged me in a post. And that's how that works. Instagram and Pinterest are actually kind of easier. But if you're not on either of those and you want to do Stamp Junkies on Facebook, or you can IM me and just send me a picture of it and I'll share it that way too. Either way works. Anyway works. And that's that. So there you go. Let's see. Yes, CC. Yep, you can use the hashtag too. If you do hashtag hashtag Pixel Mavens Retreat, that works as well. The when you use the @ symbol, sometimes that works better. And then there's also a little feature. Let me see if I can show you guys real quick before we go. I can't show you. Oh, how could I show you guys that? When you're uploading a picture into Instagram. Oh, here, I can show you this. Let me do. Okay, so here's my profile. And you know how like when you're looking on your profile, it has this tagged thing here? All right, so these are some that I've been tagged on. And what happens is you see this little face down in the corner. That means that someone's been tagged on this. When you upload your card or your picture in Instagram, there's always an option to tag, and you can tag anyone this way. And this works really well as well. So you can either do it like that, like Altenew did here, the @Pixel Mavens Retreat, or you can do the tag on the picture. Both ways work really well on Instagram. On Pinterest, using the @Pixel Mavens Retreat works perfect. So there you go. And on Facebook, if you start typing in the @ symbol and then someone's name, it will pull up a way to tag people, like a link or whatever, but you don't have to. Usually when you just start typing someone's name, if they're in that group, a list of names will pop up, right? And you can select from there. So that works. You can also tag in Facebook. You know how when you can say that you're with somebody, you could always say you're with me, and that would tag me as well. So there's lots of ways. I should probably just do a video on it, I think. So yeah, maybe I should do a video on like how to tag people on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, that kind of thing. That's the kind of stuff that you find in our new community. But yeah, I totally can do that for you guys, make it a little easier and help you be a little more tech savvy. Cool. And Becca says, yes. Awesome. Okay, guys, so I am going to run. We've taken up the rest of our time today, which is awesome. I totally enjoyed spending some time with you today, and I'm glad that you guys really love the project. I'm so glad to meet some new followers and glad that you were able to join us today. We'll be back here next Thursday at 4 p.m. US Central for more Running with Scissors, and we will have a great time. And I hope you guys have a wonderfully crafty weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys.